Tennessee men's basketball coach Cuonzo Martin on the Ball Network in the post game after Tennessee's win at Vanderbilt last night, 58-46. Vince Ferrara, Evan Woodbery. You hear the music. Our next guest, big fan of MJ. Teed it up for him on this Valentine's Day. How you doing, Coach Martin?
All right, guys. How you doing?
We had you on and we played that the first time and sprung Michael Jackson on you. Griff thought that we were, you were going to be on to give us love advice or something. So now that we're on Valentine's Day and we have you on, do you have any to share here on this Valentine's Day?
Love advice? Love the ones you love and enjoy your family. I'm actually going to see my daughter for lunchtime today, so it's a good day for me.
All right, good. Hope you're having a good start to your Valentine's Day. Vince Ferrara, Evan Woodbery. So, Coach, it helps you to be in a good mood on Valentine's Day, coming off of a second straight road victory, a 12-point win, right?
It does. Anytime you can get road wins, it's a great feeling. Also to beat a rival team in their place, just a great feeling with so many Tennessee fans in the building. Because it's so tough, and winning road games. Of course, you have to have talent. But you also have a level of mental toughness, mental focus, and I thought we had that.
Coach, the consistency on defense, was that something that pleased you? I think even in the second half when maybe the baskets weren't dropping for you as much offensively, but still showing that same consistency on defense.
Well, that's the key, because the thing we talk about all season long, and we talked about last year, in order for us to stay in games, we have to defend. Let the offense push us through. Let's score whatever we score, if it's 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever the case may be. But we have to be consistent on the defensive side of the ball. And I thought we did that, and I thought we did it in the South Carolina game. Still breakdowns here and there, but for the most part, I thought we maintained a level of toughness.
Busy with Cuonzo Martin, Tennessee men's basketball coaches. Tennessee defeated Vanderbilt last night, 58-46. Coach, it's so clear, and you've talked about this. Trey Golden's aggressiveness. It was crystal clear last night in how well you played in that first half. When guys are creating off the dribble, it opens things up for Jarnell Stokes. Talk about how well that offense played in the first half.
I thought they did a great job in the first half. In the second half, give Vanderbilt credit for going to the matchup zone and press and slowing things down. But really for us, if Trey Golden's able to penetrate and make stuff happen, find his shooters, also get the ball inside to Jarnell Stokes where he can play and let Jarnell facilitate the offense. So now you got spot-up shooters out there making shots, shooting with a level of confidence. You got Armani Moore, Josh Richardson slashing to the basket. I just think you're tough to guard when that is happening.
Coach, you tweeted just before you came on the show here to pack Thompson Bowling Arena with orange and to keep the blue out, the blue being the Kentucky fans who do travel well. How important is it to have a big, loud crowd, especially as you guys are trying to build on the momentum of the last two wins?
Well, I think it's very important, but also at the end of the day, that's who we are at the University of Tennessee, and we are volunteer fans. That's how we represent, regardless of up and downs, highs and lows in the season. It's just what we do. If we're the best and we are who we say we are, then we have to represent like that. Of course, you go through tough times, guys. Guys trying to gel as a team, work through things is part of it, not to make excuses. But at the end of the day, we expect our fans to be there to support at a high level. And just the same way I expect our guys to play hard and compete at a high level.
Coach, I don't know if have you gotten much feedback from people saying, I hear you on the bench? I mean, we hear hands all the time from you. Do people point out, wow, Coach, we hear you across the court on the other side of the arena? Do you get that much?
I hear it a lot, but I don't pay any attention to it.
Right.
And I don't get it from a negative standpoint. I just think for me, I'm doing everything in my power. Because it's the same way I approach it in practice. I'm not one of those guys who you practice a certain way. Okay, let me sit down and watch the game. I like to try to sit down and just watch a game, but it's so hard to do. And my assistant coaches, they're the main ones telling me, Coach, you got to get up and get these guys going. Because I'm just really more of a six-man. I don't really do a lot of coaching offensively unless there's a play we need to run. It's more on the defensive side of the ball, being that six-man to help those guys out. Especially, it's good for me in the Vanderbilt venue because I'm right there on the baseline, really like a six-man talking to those guys. So that part I did like.
Oh, it's definitely not negative. It's positive. And you're funny, too. Trey, where are you at? Jarnell, where you're at? I mean, it's coming through. You can hear it. That's entertaining stuff, Coach. Cuonzo Martin joining us here on the new Sentinel Sports page. When you're talking about hands, and that's, I think, what we hear the most is you saying that. Why is it that guys don't put their hands up and they do have to be told hands? Because that's a common basketball thing that guys need to know defensively.
Well, human nature. Like if you watch our guys and we play against a guy that's a really good shooter and considered just a catch and shoot guy, they have their hands up. It's just instinct. But what happens? The tough part is when you guard a guy that can make a 3-point shot, but probably a little bit better off the dribble. So instinct says I need to contain the dribble. So now you don't have the hands up as much. You're ready to sit down and defend the guy, and that's. So, I did the same thing. Coach Katie was a coach hands. It wasn't a stretch as much as I do it, but get your hands up. But I always felt, my security blanket was to be down, ready for the drive. Mm-hmm. If he shoots a shot, at least he shoots it over me. But the thing we try to work our guys with and make them understand, the hands part is really to challenge the shot, also discourage a pass, because what happens, you got a lot of screens going on the backside, and I might be guarding the ball, and I feel like I'm okay because my man's in front of me, but there's a lot of activity going on the backside, guys whipping passes across your head, but also the hands are, you got to be arm's length on defense and not getting foul trouble, and I think in the past couple of games we've done a good job of using our hands and not fouling.
Coach, the Kentucky team that you guys are going to be preparing for in a couple days, may not look exactly the same as they did earlier in the season. I mean, a real tough injury to Noel, and a guy that was a special player, and so you hate to see him go down like that. But at the same time, he was a guy that had 10 rebounds and 5 block shots a game, and so it kind of changes the complexion of Kentucky's lineup a bit with him out there. How do you think that will impact the way Kentucky plays or the way that you guys prepare?
Well, the thing about it is, defensively, it'll certainly impact those guys because he blocks shots, he rebounds, he gets steals for them. Offensively, he's a guy that got putbacks, but he's not like a guy every time down they went to him, even though he's a solid offensive player. But it wasn't the case every time down we go into him where he killed judges on the backside getting those offensive rebounds. So offensively, I think they'll still be the same team. I think defensively, when you lose a caliber guy, of course you lose something there, but maybe they gain some on the offensive side of the ball, but also you gain a level of togetherness, closeness when you lose a key guy like that. Teams rally around. So we expect those guys to compete, play hard, coming in trying to win the game. So the most important thing for us is protecting our home court and win the basketball game. And it's not necessarily what Kentucky have coming in, who they playing. It's how Tennessee is playing basketball that night. It's the most important thing.
Coach, we've seen you adjust your lineup based on matchups for the opponent. You went smaller, very effective, especially in that first half and overall, and getting you the win. Didn't see Kenny Hall start or play. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Kenny was fine. I mean, going into this game, we felt like we needed to go smaller because of how they played. And what happens when you got two traditional bigs with that type of lineup, it puts you in so many vulnerable situations. Really, it might not be as magnified in your half-court defense, but when you're coming back in transition, because there were several times in the first half, Jarnell by nature is used to running back to the lane where his man is on the wing or he's in the corner, and that's a tough thing to adjust to when you're not used to it. So now you got Jarnell and Kenny out there, two traditional bigs used to running back. Now they got 5 guys on the perimeter spotting up shooting threes. You get off to a bad start, it could be a long night. So for us, we felt like going into this game to go with a 4-guard lineup, because that's what we kind of finished with at our place, a 4-guard lineup. And we just felt like it gave us the best chance to win a game. Now, Kenny Hall's continue to work hard, continue to compete, but it's just one of those cases, time just went, and all of a sudden you realize, man, Kenny Hall hadn't been in the game, but you had a certain flow to it. But there's nothing that Kenny Hall has done to say we were not playing you. But I just think the flow of the game went as such, and you stuck with what you had. You had to go smaller, Quentin Chivas, Derek Reese, and it worked out for us.
Well, you mentioned Quentin Chivas. I was going to ask you about him because you talk about working hard and staying after it. That's a guy that he wouldn't get the playing time. He didn't play for extended period of time, 9, 10 games, something like that. But he and DeMontre Edwards worked their way back into some minutes. Talk about them during that stretch where they weren't playing and staying after it.
Well, once again, it's a credit to those guys. And I think as a coach and as a coaching staff and a program, you have guys on your team. You have guys that aren't playing. You still have to do your job and make sure those guys are ready to play. It's not a case, okay, we have 8 guys that are playing. Okay, the next 5 guys are on scholarship, get ready for next season. Those guys have to continue to play and get ready because you never know when your numbers are called. You're one injury away from being in the starting lineup, so you got to be locked in. You got to be ready. And those guys continue to come in and work on their individual skills. They continue to work in practice and get better. And that's why when you see Quinn Chivas out there, some might say, oh, man, why hasn't this guy been playing before? But that's because it's preparation and practice and getting ready and not giving up. Same way with Armani. Now he's in the starting lineup. Those guys never gave up. But that's a lot of credit to our assistant coaches, continue getting the guys in, working individual skills, and also watching film.
Coach, fans, I know what the fans ask is maybe different than when you're thinking. You're thinking next game. You're not worried about this kind of stuff. But fans are already thinking, oh, my goodness, Jarnell Stokes has 6 straight double-doubles. Look at the way he's playing. Now he might go to the NBA next year. Do you have to do any work to kind of make sure that he's not starting to maybe hear that from the outside and think about that stuff?
We take one day at a time in our program. The bottom line, if a guy has aspirations to be that and play in the NBA, we want that for him. So I'm never a coach to take that away from him. My job as a coach to keep Jarnell locked in on one game at a time, continue to get better as a basketball player, continue to improve. Now, at the end of the season, if that happens for him, that's something we want to do. We sit down as a family with Jarnell and his family, and you go from there because it'll present itself as a case of he plays his way into, first round, that sort of thing. My thing with Jarnell, with his caliber of talent, to be a first rounder. You never want to see a guy leaving school and he's a second rounder when you have first round talent and potential. So if that's first round, he feel like that's the right thing to do. We wish him the best because, once again, Jarnell's a part of our basketball family, and we want what's best for Jarnell, and that's the bottom line. But right now, that's not something we really talk about. We lock in on what we have to do as a program because I hope he thinks if I continue to play because I have a chance to play in the NBA because that's his goal, and we want his goal to be fulfilled.
I'm not sure if we've asked you this before, but what do you think that rule should be for high school for college players going to the NBA? Should it be different? Do you like the way it is? Where do you stand on that?
Well, I really think a guy coming out of high school should have the right to go to the NBA if that's what he chooses. But it has to be one of those deals because the NBA has to work with the college programs from the standpoint. The NBA has to say, this kid is a first round. I think if any kid is a second rounder coming out of high school, he shouldn't be allowed to go to the NBA. The NBA has to guarantee the fact that this kid is a first rounder. If not, then he should go to college at least 2 years.
Coach, real quick, Jerron Mayman, how's he doing in his rehab?
Doing fine. His body's looking good. He's eating right. He's working hard. He's working on his shot, working on his skills. He's not in anything 5-on-5. It's a lot of individual skill work with him, just getting shots up, ball handling, more or less one-on-one basketball.
So you think maybe after a certain period of time later this year, you might be able to use him in practices, scout team, that kind of thing?
That's the game plan, but for me, and it's our doctors and our trainers call, but for me, it really doesn't matter from that standpoint. All I want him to do is be healthy when it's time to play basketball.
Coach, I saw some pictures of Nicodemus Christopher. Boy, that guy is rocked up, isn't he?
That was me that you saw. That wasn't Nick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did a good job. Nick spends a lot of time in that weight room.
All right. The muscular Cuonzo Martin here on the new Sentinel Sports Page. Coach, enjoy your time with your daughter. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
All right. That is Cuonzo Martin here on the new Sentinel Sports Page.